Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth video of the Python Tutorials for Beginners series. In this video, we'll be covering conditional operators and the if statement. So before starting on the topic, we need to talk about the Boolean data type. And whenever we have a Boolean variable, it can be either true or false. When writing true or false in Python, remember that the first letter is always capitalized and it is followed by lowercase letters. So over here, I've declared a variable value and I've assigned the Boolean value true to the variable and I'll print it out. So let's run the code and you can see that it is true. Let me replace this with false and you can see that I get false. So remember that a Boolean variable can only be either true or false. It can be nothing else. And that is very important. Now let's talk about relational operators. Relational operators are used to compare two variables and those two variables can be of any data type. So you usually compare an integer with an integer. You can compare a string with a string. You can compare a Boolean with a Boolean. You can also compare a float with a float. And remember that it is generally not recommended to compare an integer with a string because they have different data types. Usually you should only compare variables of the same data type, but the data type can be anything. Alright, so here's a table of the operators with the meaning. So these are mostly numerical relational operators. So let's see. So let me first declare a variable radius and assign the value 10 to the variable. And what I'll do is I'll make another variable conditional, and what I'll do is I'll use the less than operator. So radius less than 0. So these operators you have already probably seen in school in your math class. And so this is the less than operator, this is the more than operator, this is the less than or equal to operator, this is the more than or equal to operator, equal to and not equal to operators. So over here we have less than followed by an equal sign, and this is more than followed by an equal sign. So over here so whenever you use a relational operator, it'll always give you a Boolean value. So over here what we're doing is we are asking if radius, which is 10, if radius is less than 0. So in this case 10 is not less than 0, 10 is in fact more than 0. So this statement is obviously false and we should get false. So if we print it out, false, right? And in fact, let's make the syntax a little more concise. I'll put it directly into the print statement. And you can see that I get false. Now let's see I put in more than. Run the code. And you can see that I get true because 10 is more than 0, right? So that is true. Now let's talk about less than. So less than, the first operator less than specifically means that the number is less than the other number. So let's say I put in 10, right? And when we run the code, we'll get false. This is the reason for this is because 10 is not less than 10. 10 is equal to 10. So radius less than 10 is false. That's why we get false over here. Whereas if we put an equal sign over here and run the code, you can see that we get true because 10 is equal to 10 and this is evaluated to be true. So you can also change this to more than or equal to, run the code, and you'll also get true because 10 is equal to true. Now let's talk about equal to. Now remember that there are two equal signs rather than just one. The reason is because the single equal sign is used as an assignment operator. We take the value on the right and assign it to the variable on the left. So that's what the assignment operator is for. So to check for equality, we need to use two equal signs instead of one. So it is very important to remember this. So let me type in. So now I'm asking if radius is exactly equal to 10. So let's run the code, and you can see that it's true because 10 is in fact equal to 10, right? And if I replace this with 9, run the code, you can see that I get false. Finally, let's see not equal to. So this is used when we want to ensure that a value is not equal to something. So let's say if we're trying to find out if radius is not equal to 9, we can use this code over here. So radius not equal to 9. So this is in fact true because radius is 10 and 10 is not equal to 9. So since 10 is not equal to 9, the statement is true. So we get true. Let's replace 9 with 10, run the code. You can see it's false because 10 not equal to 10 is false because 10 is equal to 10. So that's why we get false. Now let's talk about logical operators. Logical operators can be used to create composite conditions, and you can bring together several conditions together. Usually we bring Boolean values together to compare with each other and to create composite conditions. And in this video we'll be covering not and uh, or. Alright, so these are the logical operators that we'll be covering. So the first is not. So what not does is it negates the conditional. So if you get true, it becomes false. If you have false, it becomes true. So here's a simple truth table. Okay, so let's first put radius is greater than 5. So if you run this code, we get true because 10 is greater than 5. And let's negate this. So we are asking, we are checking if radius is not greater than 5. And if we run the code, you can see we get false. And if we replace this with less than, so we are asking if 10 is less than 5, which is false, and we have the overall expression is false. But since you're asking not false becomes true. So true will be printed out in the console. So not is used to negate the conditional. Next is and. And is a logical operator that compares two Boolean values, and it'll only return true if and only if both Boolean values are true. So here we have P1 and P2, and we are using both are needed in the AND operator. We are using two Boolean values in the AND operator compared to not, which only uses one Boolean value. So over here you can see that P1 and P2 are both true for the AND operator to give us true. Otherwise it's always false. Alright, so if either P1 or P2 is false, the AND operator will give us a false. So let's say I'm asking temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, and if and the weather, I'll give it a string, so sunny. Right, so I want to check if temperature is above, let's say 25, and the weather is sunny. So let me write temperature is greater than 25 and weather is equal to sunny. Let me resize it a bit. So you can see here that we're asking if temperature is greater than 25, and we're also asking if weather is equal to sunny, and this will return true. So let's just run the code. You can see we get true because weather is in fact equal to sunny, so this is true. Temperature is also greater than 25, so this is also true. So since both values are true, the AND operator gives us true. Let's say I change temperature to 20. We get false because temperature is not greater than 25, so this is false, and since it's false, the AND operator also gives us false. If I change this back to 30, but I say weather is rainy. So in this case, this expression is true but this expression is false, right? So since this expression is false, the overall expression is also false. Finally, let's make this 20. So in this case, both expressions will be false, so this will definitely be false, as you can see here. Okay, so this is the AND operator. So the final logical operator we'll be talking about is OR. So OR will return true if at least one of the Boolean values is true. So we have P1 and P2, and we have true over here since P1 and P2 are both true. So even though P2 over here is false, we still get true, right? Because P1 is true and the OR operator will give us true if at least one of the Boolean values is true. Over here P2 is true, so this is also true. Only if both values are false, the OR operator will give us false. So in this table, the second and third rows are different from the AND operator, because in the AND operator both the second and third operators are false, but in the OR operator both second and third rows are true. Alright, so this is the OR operator. So let's check age 16 John. Alright, so these are the two variables, and we want to check if the person is either John or the person's age is let's say above 20. So let's print out age greater than 20 or name is equal to John. Alright, so we are asking if the person is either above 20 years old or the person's name is John. So over here it's true because the name is in fact John, so this expression is evaluated to be true, so the OR operator gives us true. Let's say I make this 25, run the code. The person is both above the age of 20 and the person's name is John, so this is of course going to be true. Let's make this back into 16. Let's make the name Jeff. So if we print this out, both expressions are false in this case because age is less than 20, so 16 is less than 20, so this is false. Name is not equal to John because name is Jeff and Jeff is not equal to John, so both expressions are false, and in this case OR will give us false. Finally, let's say the age is 25. This expression should give us true because the first expression is above, like age is above 25, so the first expression is true, so we get true over here. So that's it for logical operators. Finally, we'll talk about if conditionals. So the syntax for if conditionals is if. So if is a reserved keyword in Python followed by conditional. So conditional is supposed to be a Boolean value, and then we need to have a colon, and then we have to press enter. And over here we need to ensure that the indent is 4 spaces. In Python, indenting is very important to ensure that we write code correctly. If you don't have the indent, then you will get an error. So if conditional, and then we'll do something. Right, so remember that conditional has to be true or false, and if it's true or false, then we'll do something over here. Let's say my age is 17, all right, and I want to check if the person's age is above 18, in fact above or equal to 18. So if the age is above or equal to 18, we'll say print you are an adult, right? Because you need to be above 18 to be considered an adult. So age is 16, and let's run the code. So in this case, so what happens over here, right, is that age is 16, and then we go to the next line if age is greater than 18. So since age is not greater than or equal to 18, this becomes false. And since this becomes false, the code within the code block is skipped. So if I write more lines like print hello, and so what happens is that if this is false, this code will not be executed. So I can go to my next line and write print done. So over here you can see that since this is false, the code is just skipped, and then we proceed to the next line, which is print done, and it prints the word done in the console. So let me change age to 21. So in this case, this expression is evaluated to be true, and this code will actually be executed, and the console will show you are an adult, hello, done. Alright, so this is how an if statement works. In the next video, we'll be covering elif and else so that we'll be able to write chained conditionals, and we'll also uh, do a few practice problems in the next video. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you like it, and if you found this helpful, then please consider subscribing. Please consider liking and subscribing to this channel.